So we have 4 speakers with us today. So in terms of their experience, we have Mr. Major General P.K. Malik. So he's a member of the United Service Institution of India. In his distinguished career with the Indian Army, Mr. Malik had varied experience in terms of command and also the staff and instructional appointments. And one of his tasks was also the creation of the which led to the establishment of Defense Information Assurance Research Agency in its headquarters at the Integrated Defense Staff within the Indian Army, which has now been reconstituted as the Defense Cyber Agency. Mr. Malik, please, welcome to the webinar. What we'll do today is we'll go gradually with each speaker, so they will have roughly 10 to 12 minutes to present some of the key ideas that were discussed during those 2 days expert workshop, but also to further shed lights on from their country and also from thematic perspective as well. So with this, now I would like to invite Mr. Malik for his remarks.
Can you hear me, Rohit?
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that nice introduction. I wish my wife was listening to it. At the outset, I would like to thank the organization DCAF and especially Mr. Rohit, who has been after my blood for doing so many things. I have never done it in my life. So thank you, Rohit. What I'll do is I will not like to repeat what I have said earlier, except some very important issues. I would like to highlight some additional points also, not which I thought is important. First is cyber threats. Now, the digital technology has got tremendous advantages. Now, we have seen this in this COVID-19 pandemic, the work from home, the education, job, health. The landscape has changed drastically. But this attack surface has also increased manifold. And the increase in cyber attacks in all the statistics that have been shown bears testimony to that. Now in India, the government of India has got a scheme called direct benefit transfer. Here what happens is the poorest of poor gets money in their bank accounts. The women get the money, they know how to spend the money, food, how much money has to be spent on food, water, education, health. So this has helped in eradicating the corruption which was omnipresent in various levels of governments, and very little used to reach to the poorest of poor people. And this digital means is one of the finest methods of eradicating or removing the corruption that is embedded in most of the societies today. So, and government are also doing a lot of things in delivery of government services. These are continuously being upgraded. The cyber means, by cyber means passport, driving license, paying various taxes, etc. all are being done online. But that is giving a lot of problem to people because of cyber security issues that has been highlighted earlier also. Now there is a cultural issue. Our people, especially poor people in villages, they implicitly trust each other. In digital world, we say do not trust. An innocent telephone call comes and the person is having problem in getting connected, sending OTPs, capture details, etc. Mind you, they are very poor people. They're not so tech savvy. He or she requests, please share your account details or OTP. And before you say Jack Nicholson, your money gets transferred. This is a cultural society, social issue. You trust your neighbors, your people, but you don't trust in cyber domain. I think some social scientists would be able to explain it better. Now, as was explained earlier, the more security you want, the degree of difficulty in operating increases. We have to remember that most of the users are not so technically savvy, barely literate. We cannot burden them with various procedures and all. So this is a challenge that we have to meet. Now coming back to our organization, Cybersecurity, we have got an organization called National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center called NCIIPC. 7 critical infrastructures of which were considered very important. That comes under them. And the rest of the critical infrastructures are with certain. Now, I must emphasize here, there is a difference between critical infrastructure and critical information infrastructure. They are not same. The physical security of a critical infrastructure is very important, and both CI and CII security are interlinked. We'll not get into details. We have also seen the CII, the critical information structure. Some of the sectors are doing well, like in our country, the financial sector, the power sectors are reasonably okay. But there are other sectors which are not so. So there is a requirement of putting everybody on the same plane, and there has to be some horizontal integration, and we have to get rid of this working in silos. Difficult. The government organizations like to do that work in silos, but it has to be done in cyber world. Now, private sector emphasis too much. In my previous presentations, there is a lack of trust between private sector and government agencies. There are very reasons. They do not want to get bad names. If you they first try to, if there is a breach, they first try to solve this breach. Do not report, and once they solve everything, then only may or may not report to the government agencies. By that time, if the other agencies were informed, probably some good thing would have been done, because the attack vectors are everywhere. So there is a problem there. Next point is, as I emphasize time and again, the talent in cyber domain lies in private sector. How to harness that talent is a big issue. The government agencies cannot have that kind of a talent. In all governments all over the world, they pay peanuts, get monkeys, because the type of money the private sector offers to the professionals are good, and you know where the money is, talent lies there. So how to do it? I will give the example of GCHQ of UK, where they have they are operating side by side with the cyber professionals. They have got the BAE as their strategic partner, and that is working fine. This is one of the models that can be seen. It's not that only model, but there is an issue there. Now there is a dichotomy between requirement of security and by the law enforcement agencies and privacy. Both have valid reasons. The terrorist activities being planned, some major subversion activities taking place. The major source of information and intelligence comes from the communication between them. Now with the end-to-end encryption and apps who do not save any data, it is becoming very tough. If a terrorist attack takes place, the same people who are vociferous on privacy would blame security agencies for not being able to prevent the attack. Even for cyber crime and other unlawful activities, government agencies have to request the big tech companies, the Googles and Twitters and Facebooks of this world. They're trillion-dollar companies. They have got their own procedures and for giving out information. They may or may not share details, or may not. They may take time, which is not suitable for the law enforcement agency. There's a problem there. We all know when the FBI wanted to get some details from some Apple telephone, Apple refused. Ultimately, some Israeli company gave the solution, and nothing has been heard thereafter. We all know how Snowden revealed big tech companies are used by US law enforcement agencies, especially NSA and all. Of course, there is a problem. Government law enforcement agencies also are to be blamed on putting unlawful surveillance on some people. Politicians are liable to use this for their advantages. These are problems. There is no easy solution, but we have to deal with them. India is a growing economy, third largest in the world. I have shown the numbers. The numbers are huge. The mobile, the emerging disruptive technology is trying to bridge the digital divide. The way our young people from remote areas, from villages, from economically disadvantaged society picks up the technology and makes use of internet is amazing. But again, they also become vulnerable to cyber predators. Now, national cyber security, there is a problem in implementing a cohesive cyber security policy. Much of the critical infrastructure that needs to come under the ambit of law belongs to private sector. Social media companies, big tech $1 trillion are not easy to come under a country's cyber laws. National cyber security strategy, will not get into details. What we have done is through a web portal, opinions were requested from everybody. Some excellent suggestions came and which are being incorporated. The delay in issuing the national cyber security strategy, it is my conjecture, I'm not part of the government, I think is because to put a party line in black and white while issues have dichotomies is difficult. They are weighing pros and cons. Our IT Act 2008 is under revision. Personal data protection bill was tabled in the parliament, but it has got into some iterations because there were a lot of observations from opposition parties, media, intellectuals, and others. This is a work in progress. On April 28 this year, CERT directed the reporting cyber incidents mandatory within 6 hours. This will affect the functioning of data centers, virtual private servers, cloud service providers, VPN, etc. Some big VPN companies have said that they will not be able to operate in India, and they are getting out of this country. And we have said, thank you very much. Now, norms again. India has signed both UNGGE and UN Open-Ended Working Group. India is taking a lead role in voicing concerns of emerging economic countries and developing worlds, and to put a balance between cyber sovereignty and open internet. There are two different poles of the same pole. So we are doing this. So I will now like to give some additional points.
Mr. Malik, I would request you to wrap it up within a minute. Yeah.
Okay. Why only regional cooperation? The financial sector, say examples of Brazil, Central Bank of Kuwait, Jordan, Singapore, they are given excellent guidelines on risk management. They have got useful tools and reference guide. Why should you get into, say, Asia Pacific or say South Asian region? The different sectors can have cooperation because the cyber world is omnipresent. It is not limited to a particular region. There is no absolute security. Cat and mouse game. Use of AI, machine learning, big data analytics in cyber defense, autonomous threat detection, etc. must be taken into consideration. I wanted to highlight certain aspects in what is happening in Ukraine, but the lack of time, I will not be able to highlight those. With this, my only recommendation is be nice to your cybersecurity professionals everywhere. They deserve it. And with this, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you.
The question is more related to the linkage between the cybersecurity and disinformation. So the question is, how can be the misleading propaganda through social media be harnessed? So that is the question that the audience has asked. And second question is more linked to what that we have been discussing so far, the importance of laws and regulation in the cyberspace. So the question is, it is very difficult to get the data from other countries. So what is the solution, and are there any efforts being made in order to share those data, or the challenges that are encountered to share those data? Third question is linked to the ethics. Is how can we ensure ethics is involved in the cybersecurity industries, and at the same time, how can a platform could be established in order to harness the trust between the cybersecurity professionals? So this could be a third question. So let's try to address these three questions, and then we'll move to the second round of questions as well, if that is okay with all the four speakers. Would other speakers would like to add something on that? Mr. Malik, yeah.
See, this is a very interesting question, but it is very critical also. You see, especially in response to the social media companies, as I brought up earlier, they're all $1 trillion companies. They have got their own system of processes and procedures to weed out something and not to weed out something. But we have seen in recent times what happened while there was a agitation going right up to the Washington DC's capital and all, and how the previous presidents interventions or tweets and others were deleted. There is a slant of every company there. Second is, they are supposed to be neutral. This, especially the social media companies, that facade has been torn away to shreds in the recent Ukraine conflict. When the Gaza conflict last year only was taking place, they had made organizations, Facebook, Twitters, and the TikToks of this world, to see what is coming and what is not coming, and to check the authenticity. What is that in Ukraine? So it is a difficult process, but we have to catch the bull by the horn. This is creating hell of a lot of chaos, especially in South Asian countries, where it's a volatile country, where things can be made up by showing some mod videos, more to these things with these AI-enabled things, false news and all, which can cause terrible damage to the country and the social structure. So we have to catch the bull by the horn. Thank you.
One of the audience, it asks, like, in what areas, if any, confidence building measures could be initiated amongst the South Asian countries on the issue of cybersecurity? So perhaps this question could be responded first by Mr. Malik. Thank you, Mr. Jaffer. Mr. Malik, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So the confidence building measures can include the development of skills, the human resources, policies and institutions that increase the resilience and important functions for promoting adherence to international laws and norms, responsible state behavior, etc. Specifically, what can be done is, we have discussed about the national cybersecurity strategies and all. So this is providing access to relevant technologies, support to computer emergency response teams or computer security incident response team, as you say, establishment of specialized training and tailored curricula, including training the trainer program, which is very important, the programs and professional certifications. The benefits of establishing platforms for information exchange, including legal and administrative good practices, has been recognized, and my previous speaker has been harping on for a number of times, which is very important. This information exchange, including legal and administrative good practices, and contributions from other relevant stakeholders. With this, I think I have finished. Thank you.